for me doing something on the screen and you can follow actually what I'm doing. So the purpose, again, remember, these are not lectures, and I will not define myself as a lecturer at this point because these are tutorials and you do have a tutor. And so that's the purpose of all this, is that we can have tutorials, they are practical, and we can discuss anything that you don't understand, could be discussed. And so encouraging other people to join, actually, it seems like someone else has just joined. I have to move from one screen to another actually to see. Let me see. No, it seems like, okay, it's only Anuske. I'm not even sure that if I'm pronouncing it right. So sorry, Anuske. But yeah, so let's go straight to what we're doing here. So your first question, you were given a table. You had to analyze the information given in that table below. And as you can see, you were given a share price, you were given the number of ordinary shares issued, you were given the market capitalization. If you wanting to know what is the market capitalization, if you can see your share price, see my screen there, if you can see your share price, multiplied by the number of ordinary shares would give you the market capitalization. So it is as simple as that. So it is your share price multiplied by the number of ordinary shares that would give you your market capitalization. As simple as that. Let me just see one of the, is there a question, sir? I don't attend since I haven't gotten marks, so that's hard. No, actually, this was discussed already, Anuske, in class. Not actually in class, but on the chat. Actually, I mean, if you are the author of your work, and maybe this is a good point, this is a good time to bring this up. So if you are the author of your work and you are submitting the assignment, I suppose the logical thing is that you have your assignment, you have the work that you've done, and you're able, because I have availed actually the solutions to those questions, and you have your work in front of you. So like I said again in the chat, you could easily compare what you've done with what is with the solutions that have been provided. So I mean, it's just I don't want to say it's ridiculous. It's not ridiculous, but I'm just saying that, people not having their marks doesn't stop, from, examining what you've done. And that's the purpose of this actually, because the marks actually will not be reflective actually of your work. Sometimes I might be lenient, sometimes I might give the class marks where actually you might not deserve it. But yeah, so like I said, in the email, I've been quite lenient on this first assignment because it was the first assignment. So I was not quite harsh in the way I was marking. And that's why those marks the marks go through moderation because I might be too lenient. So, but the actual way you can compare your work with the solutions is by basically taking your assignment and comparing it. All right, so let me move on. So now you can see the market capitalization there. You have your annual earnings that are given for company A and company B. And then you are asked, there's 4 unknowns actually. There's the earning per share, there's the price, the PE ratio, price earning. Okay, so if any of you have, I was quite surprised, I have to say. I was quite surprised to see that some students failed this particular question. That's quite shocking. I mean, you do have just your EPS, your earning per share. So if you're looking for your earning per share, you just take the annual earnings divided by the number of ordinary shares. Okay. But Anuske, you are not one of them. You did quite well on this question anyway. So, but I'm saying it was surprising to see. And again, I'll repeat again what I said, that if you are not engaging with the material, there is no way you're going to do well. So if you're bothering to engage with the material, you will do well. So many students who, for example, were not showing up at the very beginning, the student that I was looking for, I sent quite a few announcements looking for particular students. It seems like those are the students that were struggling with these questions. Again, numbers are not lying, and to show you that if you're really engaging with the material, you will do well. All right, so we were asked the earning per share, very easy. We take the annual earnings of 90 million divided by the number of shares, which is 10 million. This is simple calculus and you get your 9. All right, so this would mean that it is 9 rand. Sorry, let me just put here, this is 9 rand. 9 rand for your earning per share. And for company B, it will be 120 million divided by 10 million, which is 12 rand. As simple as that. And the price earning, I mean, even the formula of what price earning is, it's price divided by earning per share. Price earning, price divided per share, price divided by earning per share. Earning per share. One of you has gone as far as price divided by earnings. So 90 million. So that was a bit surprising, but it's earning per share. All right. So, okay. So you do have the price that was given there was 60, and there you go, divided by 9. And 90 was the price for company B. So the share price of company B is 90 rand. And 90 rand divided by 12 give you the 7.5. So this is straightforward calculation. But now, and that's, ladies and gentlemen, that was 14 marks. I mean, easy marks to get. So if you go now to your question 1.2, it says that based on your answers for A and B, state which company you would recommend to an investor and provide reasons for your answer. Remember again, this is just simply based on your earnings per share. It's not based on the PE, only for the earnings per shares. And they say state which principle or theory that that the investor has to use in making his investment decision. Right, that's quite straightforward. So obviously, if you have to choose a company, you would choose company B because the earning per share of company B is greater. That is as simple as that. And I mean, if an investor is coming to invest, the investor is really after the first thing that he's going to see based on A and B again, earning per share, just based on the earning per share. So if the investor is only provided that information, he will choose company B, not necessarily based on other information, only based on one information, which is earning per share, because at the end of the day, an investor would like to maximize his profit. So the theory, actually, many of you struggle with it. The theory or the principle will be profit maximization principle. Some of you put the ratio. I mean, ratio is a method of calculation, not actually a theory. So you see, some of you lost marks there. But yeah, and you have there the list. What will be the pitfall of a profit maximization? Obviously, your theory, especially in Learning Unit 1, would like you to be aware that there is profit maximization and there is also wealth maximization. So obviously, you would like wealth maximization because it is long term. You build wealth over the long term and not over the short term. You might get good profit in the short term, but you might fail at what is really the core goal of a company, which is to really build wealth. Trust that this is easy. I mean, this is in your theory. So, but what will be the pitfall? Things like accounting profits do not always materialize into cash, right? Because couldn't find that theory. I mean, it's should it necessarily be stated as a theory? I mean, where they mentioned that it's a theory. I was so confused. All right, okay. Not really a big issue, but remember again, these were a few marks. But my thing is that that theory is in your textbook when we talk about profit maximization and wealth maximization. That's a theory, you see. But what confuses me is when students put ratios, because ratio analysis is a method, you see. So every notion that is in actually your textbook is based on a particular theory, every notion. So when you're looking, then otherwise we're going to need to look at what is a principle and what is a theory and what is more a method. You see, I would say that the ratio analysis is what helps you look at profitability of a company. If you remember again, when you're looking at the ratio, you have liquidity ratio. So when you're looking at liquidity will be a theory. Is it good for a company to be more liquid and not liquid? Profitability of a, so profit maximization, you can just look at the profitability of a company. So what makes a company profitable? And then the method that you would use to calculate that profitability of the companies, you will use ratio analysis. I trust this is clear. I mean, this is in your notes. Unless somebody is struggling with understanding what profit is. Profitability. Anuske, you're asking too many questions there. Let me see. Yes, what's the difference? What's the difference? Because I have no clue. What the difference between what? I couldn't find the theory. Nowhere is it mentioned. Would you like to ask a question directly?
Yeah. Yes, hi, sir. Yeah, I didn't understand at all. Like, I think in one of our meetings, I asked like, what is the difference? Or I tried to figure out if I'm like on the right track regarding the theory and the principle thing, and the method. Because in my head it was all the same. Because nowhere they pointed that out. So, what is the difference between a theory, principle, and then a method?
No, but a theory is the same as a principle. So maybe, yeah, a theory and a method. I gave you ratio analysis. I defined for you ratio analysis as the actual calculation. All right. So if you are looking at the profitability of a company, I just said it again. All right. So you have different things that you're looking when you're analyzing, when you're looking at a company. You have the profitability of the company. You have the liquidity of the company. Remember the different type of ratios that you have? You have profitability ratios, you have liquidity ratio, and all those kind of things. So the ratio will be how you actually calculate the profitability. So it will be the method that you're using, the actual calculation, how you're calculating that profit. Does that make sense? Because you are looking at the profitability. Is this company profitable or not? What are now the instrument or the method that you're going to use to calculate the profitability of that company?
Okay, sir. So the ratio analysis is
a method.
Yeah. So I use it to calculate the profitability, but the theory, the principle is, for example, liquidity or profit maximization.
Absolutely. But remember again, actually a very good point would be we were talking about an investor, right? What an investor will be looking at. The only thing that the investor will be interested in is that the company be more profitable, right? Okay, Anuske, I can't hear you there, but I'm saying if you are an investor, you want to invest into a company, what are you looking at? If you're looking at the earning per share.
So you don't care about the ratio, even though the ratio shows if it's profitable or not.
Anuske, you're missing the question. I'm saying to you, if you are an investor and you are looking at exactly that ratio, they ask you to look at earning per share. What makes you say that 12 for company B is better than 9? because you got this one right on your paper. You said that an investor should choose company B. What are the reasons?
Because they could make more profits.
Thank
The shares
you.
are more attractive.
So that's okay. So that is based on what?
On the earnings per share.
On a principle.
Yes,
on the principle that all right, okay, you get it now. So I hope now it's straightforward. It's just that's what actually an investor will be looking at. The investor will be looking at making a profit, and the more profit is making, the better. So that's what we call profit maximization. And it's part, I'm a bit surprised that you said that you're a bit confused, that there is no such theory. Profit maximization and wealth maximization is discussed in Learning Unit 1. It's part of your material. So,
hi, sir. I did go through everything like multiple times, I think in my head, because it's not laid out like this is the heading, and underneath that heading, this is the. So I didn't understand it, but now that you explained it, I can understand like this is the top, this is the bottom, this falls under that.
Okay. No, I'm glad we cleared it up. So, but again, for everyone who's listening, so this was a good discussion, and that's what the purpose of, coming to the actual tutorial is, so that we can discuss this. But I'm glad we cleared it up. So now, based on that theory that you're using, because they are telling you, basically the question says this: why, in other words, let me rephrase it, why are you choosing company B over company A? Then you say, well, I'm basing it on the principle that company B is getting more profit. So, all right, so the theory is profit maximization. Okay, cool. Now they ask you, can you list some 5 pitfalls of that profit maximization? Is it a good thing to just look at the profit? Then you say, well, no, not necessarily, because there could be accounting problems, because sometimes what is stated on paper might not necessarily materialize into cash. Also, this profit maximization is ignoring the time value of money. So we're not looking at the interest that will be accumulated there. All right, and then you're saying, well, also it's not looking at risk. So these were the pitfalls. So, but in any case, these are stated here. Go through this. They are also in your textbook. So make sure you understand this. And now, question 1.3, based on your answer for C and D above, which company now would you recommend? So now, if you're only looking at price earning, price PE ratio, if you're only looking at that, based on that, don't look at earning per share, just price earning. And that, like we said, price earning, price divided by earning, right? So based on that, if you're just looking at that, which company would you recommend? So, and your answer is you would look at company, you will pick company A, right? You'll pick company A. But why? What theory again are you using to pick company A? Because this time company A is has less PE. The PE ratio is less compared to company B. So what will you be looking at? So it's just simply, if you're looking, the price is too high. And this is, and everyone who's going through this, look at, for you to have a greater PE ratio, you need to have a greater numerator and a lesser denominator. So the lower the earning per share, the higher your PE. The higher your price, the lower your earning per share, the higher your PE. This is basic calculus. So basically what we are saying is that you can have a high price, very high, but it's earning very less. So that's why we say that this particular company is overvalued, because it's a very high price, but it's not producing a higher earning. That's the principle you're basing it on. All right. So I trust everybody understand why we are going with company A, because we are looking at the fact that company that have a lesser PE ratio might be undervalued. They are being undervalued, but we're looking, they're earning quite a lot of earning per share, but comparable to the price, they are being undervalued. So that was basically the reason there for just 6 marks. Doesn't take long. You just say company A, because it has a lower PE, and you need to explain what a lower PE would mean and what a higher PE would mean. So many of you did well. I think the majority did well. I mean, it's straight from your textbook. Now they ask you 1.4, which of the two investment between the one of your first decision in 1.2 and the second decision in 1.3 now, which one maximizes the goal of a firm? Obviously, like I said again, I say that, but the purpose of profit maximization is not the main goal of a company. A company would like to maximize the wealth. So obviously, the wealth is built in the price of the company, in the share price of the company. Investors all over the place are looking at the share price, because you are looking at the share price, not only the share price by itself, like in this stage, share price, in this phase, share price with earnings, yes, but you're looking at the share price because the share price will show you the sentiment, how attractive a company share is to the public. Because obviously people will not put too much value in a company A, in company B over company A for nothing. There must be something that company B is offering that the public, the market sees as valuable. So that's the reason. This is theory that you encounter in your learning unit 1. Okay, and what the last question basically was just asking you the 6 advantages of performance-related reward, advantages and disadvantages. Anuske, time for you to ask a question.
Yeah. So you mentioned something. So I said the main goal is to maximize profit. Is that okay?
No, it's not true. The actual answer will be to maximize. But again, remember, it was only two marks. But again, remember that in your textbook, like I said again, I'm just repeating what is in your textbook, and what I've just repeated now is to say that you have profit maximization and you have wealth maximization. So companies would like to build wealth over time, and that's why wealth maximization is more long-term. So the goal of a company is more wealth maximization. So if you said profit maximization, you must give the reason that profit maximization would be, unfortunately, only in the short term. It wouldn't be a long-term strategy. Do you get my point?
I understand, sir.
Okay. Part of your textbook anyway, but as we revisit, this was just basically asking you, learning unit 1, if you read it and understood it. But it is a section in your textbooks that even speak clearly about profit maximization and wealth maximization and the difference between the two. So wealth, like I said again, I'm repeating, wealth is long-term. It's not short-term. So a company might be doing well in the short term, getting quite a lot of cash, but then unfortunately, if it's not building long-term wealth, then I mean, it's just short-term. It's not going to actually fare well. So the goal of the company is not the core goal of a company. Yes, you can make profits, but the core one, you see, because they say the one that maximizes the goal of a firm is the wealth maximization, not the profit maximization. I trust that that is clear. Again, textbook 101. But luckily, it's only 2 marks. So if somebody, Anuske, like you, it didn't impact your marks because it was only 2 marks. But yeah, but at least you need to understand the theory as part of your textbook. So now I have to rush. Let's go now to question 2. Question 2 was one again of those, very straightforward question, because you do have this kind of example in your textbook and there is solutions to that in your textbook. Majority of students did well, but here is another way of putting it, an income statement or a statement of comprehensive income, right? So you are given the sales, you are given the cost of sales, you are now you need to work your way down. And again, I am putting it here clearly for you to look at it. The only issue that was here, the reason why I provided 2 solutions is because based on your theory, and we touched on this, based on your theory, there was the rent expense that also was part of your theory, where do you add the rent expense or you don't add the rent expense. People who did not, I repeat, people who did not add the rent expense were not penalized because they did nothing wrong. People who added the rent expense were not penalized. So that's why I'm providing 2 solutions. The one that majority of people did is this one, but some of you also did without the rent expense. It's not battering your marks. Your marks were just as fine as they were. So if you put the rent expense, if you don't put the rent expense, it's fine. But why is that? Because again, theory, even in your annotated, if you look at your notes, the annotated notes that I